southeast.
Go ahead.
I guess
Go to class. Oh, you're waiting on Zach. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Very good.
Sweet.
I think this will avoid shaking from bumping tables.
We'll see. It's okay.
So, we're doing geography.
Sure, I'll start out, I guess. So first I began with this map, just kind of boundary lines of Fort Wayne. I did have another graphic that shows like the distinct districts. I think Zach also has something like that.
So, the districts, it's split into 4 districts in terms of kind of like northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. And it's actually built along the river, because the river splits into like 3 different sections. So, Fort Wayne's kind of like just centered around that river, and then it's split up between the river into 4 sections.
So I think the quadrant thing's a really good point. I'd be curious, culture group, whether there's a strong quadrant culture. So like a lot of cities have like orientation identity. So like east side, west side. That's a huge, interesting cultural question for Fort Wayne. Whether they have a strong like north. I'm from the northeast, southeast, and then there's also like a neighborhood identity. That's also a huge cultural question too, and how strong neighborhood identity affects culture. What you might find, which might be valuable, is actually that maybe Mount Vernon Park doesn't have a strong identity, but maybe some other neighborhoods do. So there might be precedent for kind of establishing a strong neighborhood identity. But those are things you guys can kind of explore. And you can even like, you can ask people. You can ask online. You can find forums for Fort Wayne itself and begin to kind of probe these questions. Cool.
And then,
Sorry. Thanks.
a couple of like, geographical things that we try focusing on, like what Fort Wayne has, are like they have a lot of trail systems and a lot of park systems. So the dotted black lines are the proposed trails. So they're planning on kind of like doubling like what they have so far. A lot of what they have right now is centered around, as you can tell, like the rivers. There's a lot of trails along the riverside, which is something they're also trying to focus on, is like a river culture, I guess.
Yeah.
I think you saw the bench thing.
Yep.
That I put in Slack. They're trying to kind of get more.
Did you posted that? Okay. And I started looking into it because it's close.
They're trying to kind of incorporate more like a river side kind of feeling, like town, I guess.
Yeah. Where can you draw Mount Vernon Park to your best guess on this map? Using this pen.
Well, I've got it.
So we got
I know.
Albany Road.
Yeah, it's like right. Anthony.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, I know Anthony Road is like the eastern boundary. So, I mean, right now, Mount Vernon Park doesn't really have any trail systems going through it, but they're planning on putting a couple in, I guess.
Yeah.
And these are connected to like the downtown areas.
I think like knowing distances might be good or times. So like, sorry to do that next.
Cool. So
Sorry.
from Mount
Keep
Vernon,
going.
from Mount Vernon, I kind of plotted out different, like some of the most popular tourist attractions. So how would you get there from Mount Vernon? How long would it take? And there's like multiple paths you can go on. Usually, as long as you take like the main road, you've got like a 10-minute to 15-minute anywhere you want to go. And then once you start getting back here in more heavy residential areas, away from the city, like you can go anywhere from like 10 minutes to 37. And then from Mount Vernon, there's a 97.79% of people who commute by car. So it's like nearly everybody's leaving. And then we have this graph of the age differences, or not the age, like commuting time. And then you have like under 10 minutes, and the majority of people actually, it's between 20 to 30 minutes. So it's like the bigger bowl, everyone's having like a half-hour drive to work. Yeah. That's the, I plot out like different flags, like different sites and color code related them between museums and different zoos and parks. One of the more famous parks down there is City Park.
What are the Johnny not seeing for?
It's one of their big. Oh, I don't know.
Really?
I didn't look into the history of the
Yeah.
And what I want to do, like, to further this, I was thinking like doing little images of what you'd see on your drive to there,
Yeah.
and then that would like expand that.
It'd be nice. I think I like that. I'd almost prefer at this point if you focused at it, like kind of zoomed in, and maybe not necessarily in Mount Vernon Park, but at least within the surrounding. You can start doing some of those studies. It'd be actually interesting to look at some of these questions through the lens of this scale. So, like, what would constitute a landmark at this scale? Or what's a significant institution? It might be a grocery store, or a liquor store, or a church. I'd be curious, like, you to actually engage that question, like, what is a landmark at this scale? Where do people go? And in some ways, you'll have to kind of theorize and guess on that, some of that stuff. But it would be, some of those studies would be helpful to, at this, would be more helpful at this scale than it would be at the larger scale. It's like, yeah, literally, how long would it take to walk from here to here? Or walk, some of these questions would be at the scale, just for redundant, like, how long does it take to walk from here to here? What's an ideal landmark? I think studying what does it mean to kind of go through here, like what you're suggesting there would be actually more interesting.
So focus more on the Mount Vernon aspect.
Yeah, I think so. I'm glad that you have, part of my ambition with the geography was that we have this stuff, that you guys developed this stuff, so that you can situate Mount Vernon Park in a larger context. I think there's probably more you can do here, there's probably more potentially be explored, but I think for the next week, I'd prefer that you explore more of Mount Vernon Park itself with some of these ideas while working on the porch experiment part of the project. Sweet. This kind of stuff's I'm always interested in, I think can be interesting, particularly when we're talking about an idea of like a master plan. And I always envision a master plan that can actually shape other plans. So like, once you begin to envision a future for Mount Vernon Park, maybe there's a way to kind of draw in, like reroute, and have paths that actually reroute themselves. So Mount Vernon Park's here, maybe it makes sense, I'm just going to make this up, but this path would do something like this, and actually connect here. And so like, you can't do this until you understand what it is, which you've got to understand. But there's larger scale implications for ideas that you might explore here that we could tie into larger ideas here.
I tried finding.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say I tried finding like resources on like the densest with traffic, like roads, and which ones like taking walks. I couldn't find anything like solid. Yet. If possible, it would be kind of good to like at least find maybe rather than speculate entirely on which roads they take out to wherever they commute to.
Like I'm really interested in this idea of like what constitutes a landmark, and so exploring what that can mean in a few ways, or experimenting on what that can mean. So like one thing that you can experiment on is like if you typed into Google like what's the top kind of place-oriented Mount Vernon Park location that comes through Google search, right? So in some ways the top 5 are like those are a type of landmark. Those are the things that are most easily searchable on Google, and so like that's kind of interesting as a way to understand geography and the idea of what constitutes a landmark, and something that might be a traditional landmark might not end up in Google in a Google search. It might be a liquor store, it might be some other restaurant even. So in some ways, those are actually the more significant landmarks at this scale. It might not be, it might be the surrounding area too.
Because I know there's a school just outside, like the Mount Vernon.
I think it's like this right here.
It's that guy right there. Yeah. It's also another type of landmark, a Google aerial image. The thing that's actually helped me locate Mount Vernon Park a number of times, I think, is this school. It has a white
Because it's
roof.
white roof.
So like that's the Google view. Traditional landmark is something from like that exists from a kind of urban perspective that you see as something that distinguishes itself within an urban landscape. But now that we have all these other tools to see space, including a Google aerial, Google Maps, a thing like the school, which might be nondescript actually from like driving by because it's a low stone building, really stands out from a Google perspective. I think in terms of like this idea of exploring geography and what makes up the geography or geography consists of, you can explore through some of those questions. Okay, sweet. And so how are the experiments going?
So I came up with more like just sketches of how it looks. I was working on my model, caught myself, got blood all over it, so I didn't bring a model today, but I want to like redo it.
Can you take photos of it and post it to Slack so everyone can see
the date? Okay.
Yeah, with the physical model and then also the blood, sweat, and treatments. Sweat and tears that you put into it.
Okay.
Very good.
And I didn't get a chance to interview. I wanted to do that yesterday, but with my dad out of country right now, my mom's been running the business. Not up for it yesterday.
Okay.
But this week, I'll definitely get that out of the way. Try to incorporate those hobbies that my parents prefer to do.
Okay, cool.
Other stuff.
Did a couple of interviews. I interviewed my roommates. I think we're trying to get a little event going on campus, maybe do a little barbecue or something.
Okay.
Try to get people up to like a little patio area, I guess.
Okay.
As far as design goes, I was talking to Laura a little bit, and just kind of like a simple like kind of deck almost, with a little covered awning, I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't sketched it out yet, but
Okay.
I think that's it.
I guess, part of what you can do, and part of the thing I'm looking for is, I'm not necessarily looking for like a physical design. Like that can be a part of what you do, but like what you can do between now and next Wednesday in terms of creating and making space there. So like creating and making space there is like somehow maybe commandeering furniture across Lawrence Tech's campus, maybe taking half of these damn stools and building something with that, right? So like what can you do with what you have? And so maybe there's stuff around the building that you can collect and actually put out there just for an event for a few hours. And you can find fold-up tables.
Right.
And actually can build stuff on site and experiment on site with different strategies. So that's the version of design I'm looking for, more than I can design this covered thing that maybe would be built at some point, but certainly not within the next week.
All right.
Cool. All right.